All right, we're going to have our annual tax rate hearing. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Each year at our August board meeting, we hold the tax rate hearing to set the tax rate for the upcoming school year. I will be presenting some information tonight related to the tax rate and proposing the tax rate to be approved later in the action items. Revenues generated by our tax rate are based on assessed valuation within our district. And this slide here, you can see it's broken down into real estate and personal property. I just kind of put this up there to give you an idea from last year to this year, kind of how that's changed. So real estate from last year to this year has increased slightly by about $1.2 million. Personal property has actually taken a little bit of a decrease from last year to this year. Overall, the net effect is an increase in assessed valuation in about $817,000. And this slide just kind of shows the revenue generated. So the tax rate that we're going to be proposing tonight is $2.95 per $100 in the general fund. And the estimated revenue we expect to realize from that is around $9.6 million. And on this slide here, we're just kind of showing the tax rate we're proposing is $2.95. And just a kind of a side note here, the Waynesville R6 School District continues to operate with a low tax rate compared to other districts in the state. And of the 516 school districts in Missouri, 93% have a higher tax rate. So we're proposing the $2.95, and with that, 93% of all school districts in Missouri have a higher tax rate. And just another quick side note to make here, we actually have the option to run our levy at $2.99, and that's due to minimal growth and assessed valuation in our district. In your county, if your assessed valuation runs above the consumer price index, a lot of times that has a tendency to push your levy down. But if it runs under the consumer price index, which ours does, then you can actually run your levy at a higher rate. And ours, where we could actually run it is $2.99. But what we'll be proposing tonight will be the $2.95 that was voted in by our patrons in 2017. One last slide here before we go into questions. Just wanted to kind of show the value you get in the Waynesville School District for the tax rate that's set. This is a slide showing kind of comparable districts by size. And as you can see there, one thing to point out is we do not have a debt service levy at all, which most of these school districts do. And this slide is sorted by the highest levy at the top, which is $7.04, all the way down. And the one above us there is Poplar Bluff at $3.65. So as you can see, I would say that the Waynesville has a great value for the amount of taxes that we pay. At this point, I'll open it up for any questions.
Mr. Harrison, this the $2.95, that's consistent with what it's been in years past, just to make sure, correct?
Yes, it's been that way since 2018.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Harrison. I'll go ahead and call the monthly Board of Education meeting to order. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Dr. Thorne makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. President.
All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Citizens' participation or statements?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had no one request participation as per Board Policy BDDH.
Written communications?
And we had no written communications either.
Military update?
Sorry, I always forget that's me. I'm new to this. Fort Leonard Wood just wants you all to know that we appreciate all of the hard work that you've put in, all the Waynesville staff and everybody to get ready for the 2020-2021 school year. We know that this school year is going to bring some enormous challenges, and you all have met it head on, and we appreciate that, especially for our children. Fort Leonard Wood is very proud to support the Waynesville School District, and our leadership will be out in full force on the first day of school. We will have different leadership at different schools showing that support. And the garrison commander asked me to let you know that he is very excited to be here on the first day of school in support of the Waynesville High School, and that the health and safety of our service members, our families, our children, and our community, it remains our top priority. Go Tigers, Army strong. Pending any questions.
Just one question real quick. I understand there's a new mask policy as you go into the gate. Is that true?
Yes. For GO number 2, a mask is required when going in through the gate.
And once you enter the gate, you can basically take the mask off, or something that need to be worn the entire time you're on base?
When you're in your, if you come through the gate in your POV, once you're through the gate, the mask can come off in your POV, but a mask is required in every facility that I am aware of on Fort Leonard Wood.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
District announcements, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to Fort Leonard Wood. Please share my thanks to Colonel Payne. He did an excellent video today. I think he mentioned Shakespeare and a few other things. It was very impressive, so we appreciate him taking the time to do that for us.
He was very excited about that, so I will let him know.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Our plan as of this point in time on August 17th is to start school on Monday, August 24th. We have approximately 83% of our students who will be returning, with approximately 17% attending virtually. The district has switched to a new student record system called Tyler SIS. All parents, both of returning Waynesville students and new students, should log in, review and electronically sign the forms that formerly were sent home with students. Those who do not have access to the internet should contact their child's school for hard copies of the forms. Our reopening information, including our pandemic reopening guide, is on our website. The links to the guide and frequently asked questions and other information are the main webpage. We welcomed approximately 50 new teachers to the district last week and held our convocation this morning with staff wearing masks for the kickoff of the 2020-2021 school year. We do appreciate all of the help from our administrative team sitting in the back there, of keeping folks organized and keeping us socially distanced. Appreciate that. Also the fine dancing and musical performance that occurred. Excellent job. Meet the Teacher Nights will be held virtually. The time and days are as follows. Williams Early Childhood Center and 6th Grade Center, August 19th, 4 to 6 p.m. Teachers will host 4 30-minute sessions. Elementary, August 20th, 4 to 6 p.m. Teachers will host 4 30-minute sessions. Secondary, August 26th, 5 to 7 p.m., and teachers will host 15-minute sessions based on their class schedule. And finally, Tiger Virtual Academy teachers will hold Meet the Teacher per Meet the Teacher schedule. So thank you. We're looking forward to welcoming kids back. It's been a long time, 6 months, and we had a great summer school, 2 weeks of summer school. It worked very well. We're very excited to hear the pitter-patter of little feet around our buildings again. We're very excited for that time. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Consent agenda items A through I. Is there any comments or questions?
Yes, I'd like to vote on all except the Oak Hills Golf Course Agreement. I'd just like to ask some questions about that.
Okay, you want to ask?
It's a MOU.
Yeah. Is there any questions you need to ask now, or?
I'd like to know why we're going to Dixon for golf rather than,
Well, I think Mrs. Bales, actually Mr. Ace is the one who negotiated that, but they raised the price approximately $10,000 on the installation, and we had several conversations back and forth with Garrison Command, and we're able to do it much cheaper at the new location, and that was the biggest factor behind that.
they were not willing to bend for students?
No. And in fact, I had a conversation with the Deputy Garrison Commander and discussed, and they felt like, of course, it was not adversarial, the conversation at all. It was just explaining that, during these times, we're trying to find the most efficient and effective way to do business, and they too were looking at ways to make money with the golf course, and simply didn't feel like there was anything else that could be done.
How do we share that with the Dixon school system
Share our costs.
program?
I would have to ask Mr. Ace about how we're sharing the practice time itself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate.
Mhm.
I hate to.
Several calls were made, and again, we've maintained and always had a good relationship with the garrison, but just didn't feel like it could be done at that price anymore. And the cost, the increase was significant for this year. So. Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? A motion to approve consent agenda items A through J.
So moved.
Dr. Ford makes a motion. I have a second.
Second.
And this die beat you to that, sorry. This die, second, all in favor, show of hands. So no motion carries. Discussion items. Waynesville Middle School construction update, Mr. Cobb.
Yes, tonight we have Don Huseman from Dickerson and Huseman Architects to give an update on the middle school.
Good evening, everyone. This evening we're going to be looking at photographs from August the 12th, which was last Wednesday. And I believe that we are making some pretty good progress again. We've had some weather delays, I know, through in masonry because of rains and things like that. But certainly the school is really beginning to take shape from the masonry standpoint. And this is down at the southeast corner. And we're just going to travel kind of around the building here, looking now at those to the left of the image are the upper levels, and below those are the music rooms. Slightly to the right there is the beginnings to looking at the new monumental entry. I think this next slide shows it a little bit better. The tan walls are the garden walls, and you can see those little sort of slit lights that are in there. Those will illuminate the sidewalk, and where that little bobcat is sitting will be the grand stairs that go up to the main entry. So that still needs to have a substantial amount of face brick applied to it, and then the curtain wall, the entrances will begin to take shape, and the upper portion will have a clear story or a window system around it. So that lobby will be quite elegant and certainly monumental for the school to have a major monumental entry. As we're moving around, another view of those garden walls, the earth will be, it will hide all of those block foundations, and those will look really quite nice as a handicapped person can access their way into the main entry through that walk system. Again, we're looking at the front facade. This is the area, again, the full grade is not in place. It's sort of the grade will occur at the building line about where that black waterproofing stops. That will all be a terraced area, and ultimately that will become the new plaza that you all supported some months ago. View looking into the gymnasium entrance, which I'll come back and talk about in a moment, the gymnasium. Now we're standing in the lobby of the building, so we had to back up there a little bit. Standing in the lobby looking out onto what will be the parking lot, and again the main entrance coming into the building. View looking toward the gymnasium entrance. All of the roof membrane is now in place, so the building will eventually, and a lot of the window systems are in, so it won't be long, and the building will really begin to get buttoned up, and the drywall process can start. Installation of drywall and taping. The other trades are still working in there, the mechanical trades are installing. The electrician is installing his work. Here we're at the west end of the building, southwest end. And the very southwest end, the masons are installing this wall. It's now currently in place. I was just over there late this afternoon, and it's all in place. And that's actually facing a portion of the old gymnasium so that the two buildings actually look and tie together. Another view just a little bit farther back. View from the courtyard. And you can see the window systems are now going in place into the new portion of the building. That on the lower level is the art classroom. Seeing some drywall installation on the upper level. There's not a lot of drywall in place yet, but it's just about ready for installation. This is the stage of the existing gymnasium, and that's the refinished floor. Now that floor has been repaired, and they put a sealer on that. Ultimately, for performances, that floor will be coated in a black material, which is pretty standard for stages. But it's amazing how, if you can remember what that stage looked like, there used to be a couple of classrooms up on that stage, and it was really kind of broken up into multiple areas. Painting continues in the gymnasiums. It's probably pretty much finished by now. And this is really an amazing shot. This is the existing, or the original large gymnasium to the high school, and that's the floor after it was sanded. And it looks so beautiful. It looks like a brand new floor. It has a sealer applied to it, so it doesn't look quite so bright. And the painters are installing the court markings. They have a lot of the basketball court markings down, and they're installing the logo pieces right now. I don't know if you can get over there, if you ever have the desire to go in and take a look at that, but it is just amazing how that gymnasium looks almost like a brand new space. And that was it. Can I answer any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Don. Gifted Education, Dr. Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am excited tonight to give you an update about LEAP, which is our gifted ed program here in Waynesville. We have two core beliefs that drive our gifted ed program, and that's students having the right to a rigorous academic curriculum, and also meeting their social emotional needs, as well as supporting and nurturing their giftedness. Giving them opportunities to explore and develop their creative abilities and work collaboratively with their peers, and also real-world opportunities, which I'm going to share some of those that we've had our gifted students attend this school year, well, last school year actually. I won't read all of these, but these are goals that drive our program, and we constantly evaluate those to make sure we're making the best decisions for our students and our gifted program. Main thing is really fostering those positive peer relationships with critical thinking, making sure that we involve parents in many of our activities, and they love being involved along with the community, and then creating that safe and enriching environment for our students to really thrive. There's 4 performance standards that define the scope of our activities, and we hit critical thinking and problem solving, research, communication, and effective. And those really drive our objectives for our LEAP curriculum every school year. There's certain criteria that students have to meet in order to qualify for the gifted program. They have to have a full scale IQ of 124. That's actually the minimum set by the state of Missouri, which allows us to service more students in our program and make sure that our program is diverse as well. They have to meet academic ability scores, 95th percentile or higher on a norm reference test. They have to demonstrate creativity, reasoning, and problem-solving ability, and we utilize the OLSAT, and they have to have 90th percentile or above on that assessment. performance, we also look at that. We receive referrals from parents and teachers of, hey, I have the student and they're showing outstanding academic ability, or they're really think outside of the box type of thinker. So we definitely appreciate those parent and teacher referrals. And then we have alternate criterion as well. As you know, with gifted students, they can look very different. So we make sure that we don't miss any of our students. So we look at other areas, such as, are they gifted in the arts? Are there other areas where they really stand out, before we make a decision about them qualifying for the program. Our LEAP numbers are holding very steady. Last time I presented and gave my update in 2018, I have our totals there. We are around 150 students, and then at the end of 2020, we are around 147 students. Now, the way the school year ended, we weren't able to finish all of our screenings, so we're hitting that pretty hard as school starts. So I imagine those numbers will go up, but that's where we ended at the end of 2020. We've definitely saw growth at the secondary level, which we're excited about. In 2018, we had about 47 students in the gifted program, and at the end of 2020, we had grown by 20 students, and we had 67 students accessing those services. And we have a diverse group of LEAP students. We have 68% Caucasian, and then 32% fall within our other subgroups. We also have twice exceptional students. So those are students who qualify for the LEAP program, but also require support through an IEP or 504, and we have about 3.5%, which matches the state average. Our gifted teachers are housed at the middle school. This year they will be going into the buildings to service students. Vicki Thomas services kindergarten through second grade. She spends the first semester going into those kindergarten classrooms to help identify students, and she actually starts services for kindergartners at second semester. And then Greg Ashby services our third and fourth graders. Laura Story services our fifth and sixth, and Toy O'Brien, she's new this year, but not new to us. We're excited to have her back from Germany. She is servicing our 7th through 12th graders at the middle school and high school. Just some pictures I wanted to share of our LEAP students and some great things that they did last school year. Last year we ended with 44 students in our K through 12 program. They explored thinking skills, astronomy, and robotics. They got to go to field trips such as St. Louis Zoo and Botanical Gardens, and also the Science Center. So there's some action photos there. Third and fourth grade LEAP, we ended with 52 of those students. We looked at middle school algebra, thinking skills, social emotional skills. They got to go to the St. Louis Art Museum, Missouri Botanical Garden, the Missouri Capitol, and also the St. Louis Science Center. And then they collaborated with our 5th and 6th graders to do STEM projects, and then our 1st and 2nd graders for some Lego robotics, which helped with social skills as well. 5th and 6th grade, we actually ended with 51 of those students. They definitely were very involved with our robotics. They created a Shark Tank independent marketing project. They went to various field trips. Their favorite was Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama. And then they also went to the Missouri State Capitol. The Director of Gifted Education actually came to Waynesville to speak to our classes and talk about how excited she was to see some of the things that we're doing with our gifted students. Middle school LEAP was busy as well. They serviced 35 students. They also went to Huntsville, Alabama, Space Camp, overnight at the St. Louis Zoo and the Challenger Center. In high school, we serviced 32 students focusing on health and personal finance, really hitting those college and career readiness and exploration, ACT prep, and then independent interest studies depending on which field they're interested in going into. We definitely make sure to keep our parents involved, and we love having them in for different activities. They came in for our parent informational night with the DESE Director of Gifted Ed. They went with us to the St. Louis Science Center, and they also came to our LEAP informational table we had at the high school open house. We love to get involved with the community. Our LEAP students love visiting the senior center, and the seniors love having the students in to work with them. They played games, they distributed gifts, and then 2nd through 8th grade did various robotics projects. They helped with the Waynesville School District Foundation banquet, and they also did different things such as Lego Mindstorms. With the community involvement for our middle and high school, they experienced our nation's first Capitol. They expanded on their curriculum, and they did mock interviews to really get that real-life experience of what it's like to go through an interview and making sure that their resumes are ready for when they start that process. So some of our celebrations is now for our LEAP assessments. In order to make it more efficient and able to identify more students, we're doing digital assessments for most of our testing. So student has an iPad, examiner has an iPad, and then 30 of our students in grades 3 through 6 qualify for the International Academic Competition Regional Qualifiers. So we are very excited about that. With Gifted Advocacy, we keep our students involved. 4th, 6th, middle, and high school advocated for gifted education in Jefferson City, and they got to prepare and speak to Representative Steve Lynch. That was it. Any questions about our gifted program?
Any other comments or questions? No, at the foundation banquet, those kids they're pretty sharp. They get their robots and kind of scare you sometimes, shooting balls at you, but
Yeah, they're doing good.
If you ever get the opportunity to go and check these kids out, it's pretty incredible what they do.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Washington. Proposed job description, first reading, Ms. Bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration is presenting the below named job descriptions as a first reading. 4.7.1A, Transportation Secretary. 4.7.1B, Transportation Secretary.
All right. We'll move over to action items. The 2020-21 tax rate hearing, Mr. Harrison.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be proposing tonight, we'll make a motion to approve the tax rate of $295 to the general fund for the 2020-21 school year.
Do I have a motion on action item A?
So move, Mr. President.
Mr. Dye makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Pondrum, second. All in favor, show of hands. 7-0, motion carries. 2020-21 tuition rate, Mr. Harrison.
The FY21 tuition calculation based on current expenditures per weighted average daily attendance is $10,694.50. And historically, the district has rolled up or back to the nearest increment in 50s or 100s. Therefore, the proposed rate would be $10,700 for the 2020-21 school year. And in 2019-20, it was $10,600. So I'm looking for a motion to set the tuition rate for 2021 to $10,700.
Do I have a motion on action item B? Mr. Ponder makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Darian, second. Show of hands. Yes. 7-0, motion carries. Local compliance plan assurance statement, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Each year we bring the local compliance plan for special education for approval for the state, and we are proposing to adopt the state's model plan with no modifications to it. So request motion to approve the special education local compliance plan assurance statement as presented.
Any comments or questions? Do I have a motion for action item C?
So moved.
Dr. Fulmer makes the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Carnes makes a second. Show of support. Motion carries. Board policy BBFA, second reading, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Each year prior to September the 15th, the board is asked to approve the annual board member conflict of interest and financial disclosure. So we have the most current disclosure and policy here, and we're asking that that be approved.
I have a motion for action item D.
So move, Mr. President.
Ms. Dye makes a motion. Dr. Fulmer seconds.
Second.
Show, all in favor, show of hands. 7-0, motion carries. Existing dress code modification for 2020-2021, Mrs. Bells.
Thank you, Mr. President. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are not going to be able to allow students to access locker rooms during the school day to change for PE and weightlifting classes. The past few years, the district has allowed students to wear shorts in PE that did not meet the knee length requirement. And so administration is proposing a change for this school year only to read that students will be able to wear shorts or skirts that reach their mid-thigh instead of knee length and remain there. But just a reminder to the public that no holes in the clothing cut or torn, which exposes skin or undergarments above the knee, would be permitted. The plan moving forward would be to add this as an addendum to the handbook for this school year due to the lack of access to locker rooms.
I have a motion on action item E. Ponder makes a motion, Mr. Quinn second. All in favor, show of hands. 7-0 motion carries. We've already been to closed session. Welcome back, everybody. We're excited about a new year. Excited to have everybody back in the buildings. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, President.
Mr. Quinn makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Darren second. All in favor, show of hands. We are adjourned.